YouTube? It is Ashley and I'm back with another reaction video. And guys, hello. The world is waking up. This is what a time to be alive, y'all. So I will not hold you up anymore. Let's get right into this. The video starts now. All right, let's see what Stephen A. Smith has to say. He's always blabbing away, and I personally don't necessarily care what his opinions are because it's never aligned with mine. But let's just see what everybody's saying, you know? All right.
Trump's re-election is a crushing blow to Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party that relied on a number of issues that ultimately fell flat with the American public, evidently. I'll get to the Democrats in a moment.
Damn.
But let's put Donald Trump's victory in perspective. He reclaimed the White House with a unique campaign that relied heavily on a voter turnout operation that focused on one familiar issue: the economy. In addition to that, the president-elect managed to peel votes away from once reliable Democratic support groups, such as the Latinos and, of course, Black men. If you look at that number right there in the CNN exit polls, the Hispanic vote for Trump increased by 13% from what it was in 2020 when he...
Hell yeah, it did. Hell yeah, it did. Because we tired. I'm not Latino, but they tired. You know what I mean? Hell yeah.
Lost to President Joe Biden. With the Black community, according to that same CNN poll, it increased by 5%. And obviously, when you hear 5%, you're automatically going to deduce that it was Black men that ultimately hurt Kamala Harris.
It was Kamala Harris that hurt Kamala Harris and whoever her team was, because they were trash at trying to tell her what to do.
To focus on the 13%. Because I think that when you are Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, that's really, really what we have to do is we take a closer look as to what transpired. I'm going to say this before I get into any of that. Donald Trump's return to the White House is the greatest comeback probably in American history.
You're damn right.
34 felony counts, 2 impeachments. I can't count the number of mistakes that he has made. When he departed in 2020 after the insurrection at the United States Capitol, we all thought he was finished. He was done.
This is what I'm saying. It's because they legitimately believe their own lies. Like, they wholeheartedly think what they think, everyone thinks. And clearly America showed these idiots. The jig is up, y'all. The jig is up.
He went back to his hub at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. And the next thing you know, plotted a return to the White House that, regardless of what they tried to throw in his direction, nothing worked. Nothing worked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we could say what we want about his policies, whatever they may be. We could say what we want about his character, whatever you want to say. But when you think about leaders, one of the primary elements you're looking for from them is fight.
Strength.
Are you somebody that has alligator skin and a level of intestinal fortitude that few can rival? So when you got to go into the lion's den and deal with adversity, you're more than capable of doing so.
1,000%. Do you think, and people I heard say it a lot, could you see Kamala sitting across the table from a Putin? And you know why strength and that fight is so important? Because America is in shambles right now, y'all. Not only is America in shambles, but the world is in shambles. We are closer to World War III than we've ever been. And everybody is looking to the strongest country known as the United States of America to get this world in order. And these people are sitting on their hands. They've had 4 years and they're not doing shit. Trump is very clear in his abilities. And he speaks with such confidence and conviction on day one. Da 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 da. People need to stop dying. Da 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 da. You know him. That's what Americans have been wanting to hear. Democrats thought they could just stand in front of you and just tell you how horrible Trump is, and that was going to be enough. Nobody cares about Trump's mean tweets when they can't buy groceries for their children. I digress.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if any of us can definitively say we could deal with what Donald Trump dealt with and still end up back in the White House. He was definitely helped by Joe Rogan's endorsement in the wee hours before.
Oh, come on. I'm not going to say Joe Rogan didn't help it, but that wasn't it. These guys need to stop. Oh my God. Like, just
the election began, or before election day began, that played a role. He had some celebrities supporting him. I don't think that played much of a role. Mm-mm. But ultimately, his focus on the economy and inflation ravaging him.
He had Elon Musk, one of the smartest people, honestly, on the planet. He had Kennedy, who is a person who wants to take fluoride out of water. When have you ever heard anybody wanting to do that? I am for that. Trump was working, y'all. He was working. So to minimize it to anything else, like he didn't have Beyonce, he didn't have Cardi B, he didn't have Oprah, Obama, Michelle Obama, all of these loved people, apparently. Listen, America's spoken, y'all. And it's time for y'all to get your head out your ass and recognize change is here. And Americans aren't accepting anything else.
Us all, combined with the border issues, immigration, and over 11 to 12 million migrants entering the country illegally and focusing on that, I thought that there were certain things that he did that were nothing short of brilliant. Now, I have been on the record stating on several occasions, the economy was one thing. I just talked to you about that. Immigration was another. I just talked to you about that. What about crime in the streets? When you look at New York City, when you look at Los Angeles, when you look at the fact that people were being arrested and the same day they were put in jail, they were getting out. And there seemed to be no punitive damage that was being suffered by those who were inflicting harm upon American citizens. What about that? Okay. And then we have to pay attention to woke culture and the cancel culture. Think about the commercials that Donald Trump was showing. Think about the commercials that involved Charlemagne the God and the Breakfast Club when they kept playing footage of Kamala Harris saying she was in support of transgender operations taking place even for those incarcerated, while incarcerated. Think about that. Yeah. Think about how they leaned on her appearing on The View, and when The View, a liberal outlet, very supportive of Kamala Harris, asked her a simple question of what, if anything, she would do differently from Joe Biden. She said there was nothing she could think of.
Can you believe that? Even though she's like, it's time for change, it's time for this, a better America. And then they're like, what would you have done differently? She's like, nothing comes to mind. She admitted she was there for all the decisions. Listen, they got no one to blame but themselves. Honestly, it's appalling for them to try to put it in.
These are the kind of things that I think hurt her. Okay? But I also lean on woke culture and cancel culture for this reason as well. They also brought up how somebody transitioning from being a male to a female were competing against women and young ladies, knowing that there were an abundance of people, not just on the right, but independents, who would not support that. They weren't going to support that. They looked at something like that and they said, what the hell is wrong with us? Mm-hmm. They harkened back to years ago when you had people getting in trouble because instead of saying him or her or he or she, if you didn't say they, it was a violation.
Yeah.
And ultimately that could get you in some kind of trouble. At some point in time, people were looking at those things. Now, some people would say that had nothing to do with the outcome of.
It had everything to do with the outcome. Everything he's naming, economy, immigration, crime, woke culture, no primary, all of it, and then some. Okay? She wasn't taking interviews. She wasn't being asked any hard questions. She wasn't able to articulate the policies that she was even trying to promote. She couldn't formulate it into words that people could understand. What are you about? And then let's be honest, Candace blew up her whole identity when she's trying to connect with Black people, saying my mom raised us as two strong Black women, only to find out you're not Black and you're actually just along a bloodline of slave owners in Jamaica. Like, y'all need to go watch that if you haven't.
Of last night's election. I beg to differ. But ultimately, what it does come down to is this. With all of those things transpiring, it gave the impression that the Dems were at the mercy of the progressives on the extreme left, which forced folks in the center to lean right and forced the right to harden their stances even more. And what did you see as a result? There was no blue wall, ladies and gentlemen. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, etc. No.
Yep.
They talked all evening that if North Carolina and Georgia went to Donald Trump, the only way Kamala Harris would have a chance to win the election is if she won Pennsylvania. And she lost that too. I expected a tough, tight race.
You know why? Because that's what they told us. It was a lie. America is done with Democrats, and that is evident. We see that on that beautiful red map you just saw. There was little sprinkles of blue, just speckles. Okay? Speckles.
What we witnessed was an annihilation.
Yes.
An annihilation. This was supposed to last, this debate about the election and how many votes was supposed to last probably until Thursday, Friday, maybe even into the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, Fox News called it at 2 a.m.
Sure did.
2 a.m.
CNN at 5.
We knew that Donald Trump had won back the White House. It was that kind of a romp, that kind of an annihilation. There are many, many things to insult Donald Trump about. There are many times we could have done it in the past.
That's all you guys did, which is why you're here saying what you're saying right now with the abomination of a turnout y'all had, because all you guys did was talk ill about Trump. Not identifying anything about yourselves. Just focus on him, focus on him, focus on if we can paint him to be Hitler, the Americans surely won't vote for Hitler.
We can't do it today. There ain't a damn thing we can say. America has spoken. The Republicans have the White House.
Period.
They have the Senate, by the way. They won back the Senate. They flipped it. And they're probably going to retain the House.
And they're probably going to get some more Supreme Court seats as well. There's a couple of retirees on the docket. You know what I mean? It's about to be a crazy time.
They had it from 2017 to 2019. They got it back again. America has spoken. America has spoken. By the way, look at this cover on Vanity Fair, please. Take a look at this. With Trump's face, 34 felony counts, 1 conviction, 2 cases pending, 2 impeachments, 6 bankruptcies, 4 more years.
Honestly, these people are disgusting. I think, oh my God, shame on Vanity Fair. And even that, the 34 felonies, 1 conviction. Jeez. Man.
And the 47th American president to the United States of America. What do you say?
Amen.
What do you say? Okay? In fairness, I don't think anybody should be laying the party's loss at her feet. I'm going to say that up front. Okay? There were missed opportunities from the White House and the Democratic Party, no doubt. But I'm not going to lay it at her feet. Before I even get into it, here's a look at my top 5 reasons again why the Democratic Party lost this presidential election. Look at it for yourself. The economy, immigration, crime, the woke culture. That last one, no primary candidate. Okay, let me go down the list. I already brought up how she missed opportunities. Remember when y'all got on me? Because I was sitting here talking about how she needed to go to make herself available and go out there and enter enemy territory and go out there and do interviews that wasn't rife with fluff. Remember I said that? Remember I said that Donald Trump was pointing to the war between...
She couldn't. She would have, but she couldn't. She's incapable. It has to be polished. It has to be scripted, because if we caught her off guard like that and she was asked any tough questions, just like she did the Anderson, I think his name is, and he asked her actually some pretty hard questions and she looked like an idiot. So, you know what I mean? Honestly.
Between Ukraine and Russia, or the Israeli-Palestinian conflict involving Hamas and Hezbollah. Remember
she ran 2 separate ads speaking to Muslims and Jews, saying 2 totally different things. I'm for this and for that, but then the ad in the Jewish area, she was for something else. She's a liar. Why would anybody have trust in that? You're just telling me what you think I want to hear, clearly. And I'm not saying that's her fault specifically. I do think she was put into the lion's den, and it wasn't cool how they did that in the first place. But as I said, I don't think she's the one running the show. I think she just did what she was told to do, and she tried her best. And I mean, all fair to her, she tried her best. But the people who thrusted her into the scene, they're the ones who this lays at their feet. They should have did it the honest, right way. Instead, they tried to pull a fast one, and it majorly backfired.
Brought up all of that. And I said that Trump would literally use that and engage in some degree of chauvinism, because he's going to say, I'm here, I'm doing interviews with everybody. Where is she at? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly everybody caught on. Eventually. I've been saying all along, she couldn't avoid it. You're the vice president of the United States. You should be on top of all of these issues. You should be ready to do interviews at a moment's notice. I'm not saying she didn't know the issues. I think she was overly sensitive to not coming across as if she threw Joe Biden under the bus. But here's the thing. Did Joe Biden deserve to be thrown under the bus? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Let me tell you why. In 2020, he wins election. When he wins the election in 2020, Joe Biden promised to be a transitional president. He called himself a stopgap, an individual that was looking to pave the way for future candidates coming down the pipe. He knew that come time for re-election, he would be 81, approaching 82 years of age.
Yeah, but they tried to have him run. So he was still going to go again, even though everybody knew he shouldn't even have been there in the first place. He wasn't, he didn't have the mind for it. From campaigning times, we could all see he was stuttering and stammering, jogging down the runway like to make himself look young and fresh. Like, get the fuck. These people, man.
He knew that. What's he going to do, stay in office till 86? He gave us the impression that wasn't what he was going to do. What did he did after? What he did was, the midterms came about. And it was supposed to be some red wave with a bunch of Republicans winning seats in the Senate and in the House. It didn't happen. So because of that, since he was the incumbent, he was feeling himself, because look at how many seats were retained or captured by the Democrats. And as a result, he could stay in office, he could stay in power, and he decided he wasn't going to walk away. And when he decided he wasn't going to walk away, all hell broke loose, because we saw health debilitating. His fastball, per se, not necessarily being there. And if we saw it on June 27th, when he went on the stage to debate against Donald Trump, they damn sure saw it beforehand. They saw it, but they couldn't tell us because they weren't going to down him out. So it's all able to be deduced at this particular moment in time.
So with all of that being said, wouldn't the entire party be to blame? Not just Biden, not just Kamala, not just whomever. The whole party was up to it. They all lied. They all knew his health. They were all in on it. They all ushered him in for a second term. It wasn't until they were like, okay, this is going to be an issue. He can barely string a sentence together at this point. Let's throw him on the platform. Let everybody see for what it is. And then, like lockstep, the very next day, everybody, oh, Biden's not fit. Biden's not fit. Biden's not fit. What an embarrassment. Oh, no, 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 no. And then, listen, mind you, they called the debate early. Let's not forget that. These crooks know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it. And as I said, the jig is up.
They knew what was coming on. They knew what was going on. They weren't going to dime him out. They weren't going to expose him like that. So they let him expose himself on the debate stage. Then 3.5 weeks later, he ultimately stepped away and she became the presumptive Democratic nominee. But what also came with that? What also came with that was the skids were greased. And the American public didn't like that. Because in this nation, we like competition. We want to see him in a primary. Then we would have knew before June 27th, he wasn't ready. And if you're not going to see him, you wanted to see her in a primary. But that didn't happen because by the time he stepped away, it was too late to entertain Dean Phillips or anybody else as a potential Democratic nominee. So as a result, the road was paved for her to go up against Trump unabated. That's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. You may not like hearing it, but that's what happened.
It sure is. And they shot themselves in the foot. There was so many more capable Democrats that probably could have. I mean, honestly, I was really afraid they were going to pick Michelle Obama. And even though I think maybe America's in a new place right now where that perhaps might not have even worked, but that was my fear. I was like, if they pick Michelle, everybody, well, not so much anymore, but people really adored Obama and thought he was amazing. He did his 2 terms. He left without scathe on his resume. And I thought if they had propped her up, we would be in trouble because she's just so polished. She's, just in comparison to Trump, I literally thought we were going to have an issue, but they didn't do that. And actually, now that I think of it, I don't think that would have even worked. By the votes, him gaining in so many different categories tells us that America is in need of change. And it's not this establishment, not Obama, not Kamala, not Biden, not any of these people. They even talks about Gavin Newsom. No, because all Trump would have said is, do you want America to look like San Francisco? Exactly.
But that all pales in comparison to immigration. Why is immigration so important? Because from the moment Biden got in office, he opened the floodgates. There was no wall built. There was no lines of demarcation to prevent folks from coming across the border. He opened the borders because he was capitulating to the extreme left. Damn near his first week in office with a bunch of executive orders. And as a result,
literally, I think on day 1, he opened the borders. Sick man. And then named Kamala Bordazar.
So to that reality, you had people fresh off of trying to overcome all the noise and the chaos that Trump had created to go into, oh, damn, what is this about? That is what happened. He opened the borders. And you know what made it even worse when Biden opened the borders, ladies and gentlemen? It was exactly what Obama didn't do. Obama didn't advertise it, but did you know that Obama deported more illegal immigrants than Trump did? Obama deported so many folks. They called him the deporter in chief. Mm-hmm. That's what they said about him. That was a Democrat in office.
But you know why? Because of how they market you, right? Obama is wonderful. He does nothing wrong. They wouldn't bring that up. Even the cages, when they used to talk about Trump putting kids in cages, that started under Obama. But they wouldn't label it that way under Obama. They spinned the wording to make it seem like Trump did something different than previously when he just kept following what was already going on and made maybe his own few tweaks. That is the problem. The jig is up. It's up, people. It's up.
Office who did it and was still popular amongst liberals. So you're Biden, why would you go against that and do the polar opposite? Yet he did. And as a result, the right was able to look at our streets being overcrowded, and any immigrant damn near caught getting a ticket for some reason or another was highlighted and illuminated. See what they're doing to our country? And you sort of backdrop, and it didn't even have to be true. It didn't matter. You sort of backdrop, and then you looked at the streets.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the By the way, there is truth to that story. Don't let them fool you. There was a girl on body cam. I seen it with my own two eyes in Springfield, and she was eating someone's cat on the driveway. I mean, she was Haitian. I don't know. She looked like she was on drugs or something. I'm not going to lie to you. It might not have been that she was doing it for food and voodoo purpose, but legit. And I don't mean to laugh. That's not funny. That was somebody's animal. But legitimately, they're eating the dogs.
That was point number 2. Let me tell you what point number 3 was. All these celebrities, Taylor Swift, Michelle Obama, Jennifer
Beyonce.
Lopez, Beyonce, Oprah.
Yep.
The list went on and on and on. Let me tell you what the problem with all of that was. Let's not forget LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he just put out a tweet. Let me tell you what the problem with that was. Michelle Obama giving a speech in Kalamazoo where she skillfully and brilliantly detailed reproductive rights. Wasn't talking about abortion. She was talking about reproductive rights for women. Fair enough. But then she added a line by saying a vote for him was a vote against us. Don't believe what I'm saying? Take a listen.
We are the ones with the knowledge and experience to know what we need. So please do not hand our fates over to the likes of Trump, who knows nothing about us, who has shown deep contempt for us. Because a vote for him is a vote against us, against our health, against our worth.
Oh, you see what Michelle Obama said right there? So we have to do what you tell us to do, otherwise we're anti-you. Yeah. Thought that worked? Do y'all know anything about most men? Think that's gonna work? How about this one from Oprah? Take a listen.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
Like when the other side says it the right, because I know they've said it too, it makes sense. You know why? Because with the illegals, which he didn't touch on, he said, like, why did Biden not put a stop to it? Because they had a different plan. It's not a coincidence. They're ushering and by plane and bus these people in swing states. They don't want them to swing anymore. They don't want what happened last night to happen again and again. They want it to be a liberal, bona fide state, just like California. If they had won, that very well could have been the last election. For sure. Because in the future, it would have been all those immigrants that they're just letting in, tens of millions of immigrants coming in through the border illegally that are getting rights to vote, no voter ID, all of these things that they're changing. You think that's by accident? Come on.
Civil Rights Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act of 1965, been in place since 1965. That's spanning more than nearly 60 years. Okay? And you're going to look an audience in the face and you're going to tell them that if you vote for Donald Trump, you may not ever be able to cast a vote again. Who believed that? Who believed that coming from Oprah? Truly, who believed that?
No one.
This is the kind of stuff that alienates an electorate, that alienates a vote or a voter. Because the freedom that you tell them they have, you try to confiscate morally by letting them know you ain't worth a damn unless you vote the way we say you should vote.
Period.
Who's going to go for that
Tell
in
us,
a
Stephen.
general election with an economy rife with inflation, with over 12 million people coming crossing the borders, with people wondering about their dollars, the dollars that they earn, the dollars that they have in their pocket, the value of that dollar dissipating before our very eyes. But in the same breath, you're telling them that you got to take even more money out of their pocket to finance immigrants that come all across the border illegally at the behest of the Democratic Party looking to secure a voting bloc.
Period. He just said it. He just said it, people. A voting bloc. They wanted to secure that blue wall. Hell nah. The jig is up, okay? We're going to keep saying it this whole series because it really is up. But I'm going to end that here. This one was really long, and I didn't mean for it to be this long. But we're going to keep going. Y'all keep coming. Keep liking. Let the message spread. Trump 2024. Trump 2025. Trump 2020 and beyond, y'all. We did it. We did it. We did it. And I'll see you on the next one.